بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وأنكحوا الأيام منكم والصالحين من عبادكم وإمائكم إن يكونوا فقراء يغنهم الله من فضله والله واسع عليم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وصلى الله على محمد وآل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين. أما بعد، فقد قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم: النكاح سنتي فمن رغب عن سنتي فليس مني. When it comes to temporary marriage, temporary means fixed time and transient. So the time for temporary marriage is fixed, and it should be fixed by the two parties to the marriage. Without fixing the time, the temporary marriage is either invalid or it changes into permanent marriage. So before reciting the formula of marriage, it is necessary for both parties to fix and determine the time. So one of the conditions for reciting the formula of temporary marriage is to fix the time and then also fix the mahr, the marriage gift or the dowry. Both of these two things have to be agreed upon, and they have to be determined, and they have to be appointed. After deciding about the amount of the marriage gift and of course, the time period during which the temporary marriage will last, then the parties to the marriage can recite the formula of marriage. And of course, they themselves can recite the formula of temporary marriage without having to seek the help of an alim or to seek the help of another person. According to Shia Islamic law, or according to the Islamic jurisprudence, there is no need for any witnesses. A man and a woman who recite the formula of temporary marriage do not need to invite someone to be present in the session of nikah. They themselves can recite the nikah, and if they know Arabic, and if they do not know Arabic, it's better for them to seek the help of someone so that he could recite the formula of temporary marriage on their behalf. And of course, they have to choose him as an agent, as a representative. They can choose one person as a representative who would recite the formula of temporary marriage on their behalf, or they can choose two representatives, one for the woman and another for the man. And those two representatives will recite the formula of temporary marriage on behalf of the man and the woman. Now, an important question is regarding the formula of temporary marriage. How is the formula of temporary marriage recited, and what is the formula? The formula of temporary marriage consists of two parts. One is the offer and the other is the acceptance. It is a contract. It is a contract. Every contract has an offer and an acceptance. There is an offer which is called ijab, and there is acceptance which is called qabul in Arabic. Now, the contract of temporary marriage also consists of an offer and an acceptance. The offer is made by the woman and the acceptance is made by the husband. Now, if a woman is going to initiate the nikah, she must recite زوجتك نفسي في المدة المعلومة على المهر المعلوم. Now once again I read. The woman will say, this is the formula of temporary marriage. زوجتك نفسي في المدة المعلومة على المهر المعلوم. This is the offer. And the acceptance is that the man immediately will say قبلت. If he says قبلت التزويج أو قبلت, that's enough, which means I have accepted. Now the translation of the offer is this, that I have made myself your wife for the agreed period of time, and for the known agreed mahr. This is the translation. The husband will say, I have accepted. Now, if the parties to the marriage cannot recite the formula in Arabic, of course it is difficult for some people and they do not know Arabic, they do not pronounce the Arabic formula, they can recite the same in their language. They can say, for example, I have married you, or I have made myself your wife for the agreed period of time and agreed marriage gift. And the husband will say, I have accepted. Now, if you are going to say that in your own language, you have to make the sentence structure give the same meaning and the same wordings should be there. Therefore, if you say, I will make myself your wife, and he will say, I will accept, that is wrong. That is incorrect. And the marriage will not be initiated. Therefore, the time has to be fixed and it should be mentioned. If, of course, the time is mentioned in the marriage contract, there is no problem. They can mention it. But they can talk about the time and they can come to an agreement about the time before reciting the formula. And then when they recite the formula, they will just say that I have made myself your wife for the agreed period of time. And then the agreed marriage gift, which is called mahr in Arabic, or sadaq in Arabic. Now, what is the minimum and maximum amount of time within the temporary marriage? The minimum amount of time can be 1 hour, it can be 1 day, it can be more than 1 hour, it can be for half an hour, provided that the pleasure or the sexual intimacy which is intended for it is obtained and derived. That is the minimum amount period that can be fixed for the temporary marriage. As far as the maximum amount of time or period of time is concerned, of course, it should not exceed the normal life span. If a person is going to live, for example, for 40 years, it should not be for 40 years. It should be less than 40 years. It should be 45 years. It should be 30 years. And if a person is going to live for 60 years, the time period should not be fixed for 60 years. It should be for 55 years, 50 years. So the general criterion is that the period fixed for the time marriage should not exceed one's lifespan. That is an important question, answer, an important point that has to be taken into consideration. Now, what about the dowry or the marriage gift? What can it be, and what should it be? Can the marriage be initiated, or the marriage can be consummated without any dowry, without any marriage gift involved? Of course not. The marriage cannot be valid if there is no dowry, if there is no marriage gift. There should be something, and that can be any valuable thing. It's not necessary that the amount of the mahar or the marriage gift should be something extremely highly valuable. It can be a bunch of flowers. It can be a copy of the Holy Quran. It can be the expenses of a Hajj journey, a journey to the holy city of Mecca. And it can be the expenses, the cost of going to Ziyarah, to Karbala, to Najaf, or to Mashhad. It can be anything valuable, but it should not be anything worthless. So, it depends on the agreement and on the, of course, on the two sides, whether how much they agree. And of course, there should be something, otherwise the marriage will be invalid. Now, if the amount of dowry has been fixed, let's assume that they have fixed and they have recited the formula of marriage and they have consummated the formula of marriage. The wife can forego her marriage gift. She can exempt her husband of the dowry. She can tell her husband, okay, I don't want the marriage gift because I'm not a needy person. I'm needless. I just wanted to marry you because I just love you, or I just need you yourself, and I did not marry you because of money. She can, of course, forego the mahr. She can exempt her husband of the amount of mahr. And that is valid in that case if she forgives her husband for the amount of mahr which she and her husband had agreed. She has the right to forego. She has the right to exempt her husband of the marriage gift. And now, if someone else, we are still speaking about the formula of temporary marriage. If someone else is going to recite the formula of temporary marriage on their behalf, how should the formula be recited? Because the first formula which I recited was when the two parties to the marriage themselves recite the formula without anyone else being present and without anyone else helping them, they themselves recite it. If they want to authorize someone else and choose a representative to recite the formula of temporary marriage on their behalf, how should the formula be recited? The formula is recited like this. Now the offer is made agent by the representative of the wife. He will say or she will say, زوجت موكلك في المدة المعلومة على المهر المعلوم. This is the offer made by the agent or the representative of the woman. And then the second representative will say قبلت or قبلت الزواج لموكلي or قبلت, if he says قبلت, that's also correct. And the first person, the representative of the wife, the woman, can also use the word matta'tu in place of the term zawajtu. Matta'tu is also correct. If you say matta'tu muwakkilaka fil muddati al-ma'luma ala al-mahr al-ma'lum, and the representative of the man says qabiltu, that is correct, and the marriage is in order. This is the formula for the temporary marriage. Of course, the formula of the permanent marriage is different because there is no time period and it is a permanent marriage. So the time is not fixed there, it is a permanent marriage. Dear brothers and sisters, once the contract of marriage has been recited and it has been consummated, then the man and the woman are married to each other and they can derive all kinds of pleasure from each other. They can have all kinds of intimacy, intimate relationship with each other, and there is no impediment, there is nothing haram between them. Of course, if the woman is in her menses, the man cannot approach her sexually. It is forbidden for a man to have sexual intercourse with his wife when she is in her monthly period. That is forbidden. But of course, hugging, touching, and other kinds of pleasures are allowed, and there is no objection to it. And there's one thing also, that a man and a woman can, of course, see each other naked, provided that they are sure that no one is seeing them and that they are not seen by anyone in the neighborhood or in the family. They should make sure that the doors are locked and the windows, of course, and the curtain is drawn and there is no one seeing them. They can, of course, take off their clothes and they, of course, see each other naked, and there is no problem in it. This is an answer given by the religious authorities, and of course there is no embarrassment when it comes to understanding the Islamic laws. There's and Islamic issues. You have to know it, and you should not feel shy when it comes to learning the ahkam, the Islamic laws.
ناجيتك يا رحمن ودعوتك يا ديان يا خالق الإنسان الله 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 يا خالق الإنسان الله الله الله.
And there's no doubt that, of course, the religious authorities have said that it is abominable for the husband to look at his wife's private organs or private part, and it's better for him not to look. This is the answer given by them, by the religious authorities. But it's not haram, it's not forbidden to look at your wife's private part. That is for sure. And when it comes to the obligation, an important question is regarding the obligations of the husband and wife. What are the rights? What are the obligations of the husband and wife? This is also an important question. And of course, we are talking about temporary marriage. Inshallah, we will discuss, we will elaborate on the rules of permanent marriage, but some of the laws, some of the ordinances are the same as those of the permanent marriage. When it comes to the rights and obligations of a temporary wife and a temporary husband, the rules are different a little bit, because in a temporary marriage, the wife is under the obligation to submit herself to her husband she should surrender herself for sexual intercourse or for any physical pleasure for her husband. It is her duty which she should fulfill. It is her obligation that she should fulfill in relation to her husband. Now, she does not have any right of nafaqah. She cannot ask her husband to give her food and clothing and medical treatment. All these are in permanent marriage. Therefore, she can go out of her husband's wife, provided that her going out of her husband's wife does not violate and does not deny the husband of his right for conjugal relationship. Because it's the wife's duty to surrender herself to her husband for sexual intimacy. And if she goes out, she might be needed by her husband. And if she goes out and it's against it's a kind of violation of her husband's right, then she cannot go out and she must seek her husband's permission. Now, what are the rights and obligations of the husband? Of course, the rights and obligation of the husband is that he must give his wife's dowry, and that is the marriage gift. The marriage gift. And there is no other obligation. Of course, if the woman becomes pregnant, then it is necessary for the husband to take care of the child, to give the expenses, to provide the wife with all the costs and the necessary treatment. And also, he must bear the responsibility of the child. He must take care of the child, provide for the child, because the child is his, and the child is no different from the child which is born out of the permanent marriage. It is the responsibility and the right of the husband as well as the wife. Of course, the woman has the right to take care and custody of the child for 2 years, for 2 subsequent years. When the child needs to be breastfed, it is the mother who should breastfeed the child for 2 years. And it's recommended that the child should not be breastfed for more than 2 years. For more than 2 years. This is in Islamic law, because there are people asking questions as to how long it is recommended for the mother to breastfeed the child. According to religious authorities, it's better not to breastfeed a child for more than 2 years. And when the 2 years expires, then of course they have to stop. And one thing more, that there is no divorce and temporary marriage. When the time for temporary marriage expires, then the woman and the wife, the man and the wife have to separate from each other. They are non-mahram to each other. And of course, if they want to renew the contract of marriage, there is no iddah. The woman can marry the same man without having to observe iddah, without having to wait for some time, because he is going to marry the same man. But of course, if she is going to marry another man, then the woman has to wait for 2 months or for two menses, which normally take as many days as 45 days. If within the 45 days a woman sees the menstrual blood, the second menstrual blood which the woman sees is the end of the waiting period. After that, she can take action for marriage with another man. These are some of the rules and details regarding temporary marriage. Inshallah, I hope I have been able to explain and give the necessary details regarding temporary marriage. Inshallah, there I will carry on my discussion regarding the same subject in the next session to come. Until then, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
اللهم بارك للحجاج والزوار في الزاد والنفقة، واقض ما أوجبت عليهم من الحج والعمرة بفضلك ورحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.